So, the new iPhones are out, and if you're thinking about an upgrade, you're probably facing that same old question. You've got 4 incredible options from last year's models to the brand new flagships. The real question is, how in the world do you choose the right one for you? Well, let's break it all down.
It really all boils down to this, doesn't it? Do you shell out the extra cash for the latest and greatest Pro model, or is last year's phone, now at a discount, actually the smarter buy? Let's figure this out. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the stuff you're going to notice right away every single day. The physical feel of the phone in your hand, and that screen you're going to be staring at for, let's be honest, hours and hours.
All right, so right out of the gate, we've got some pretty interesting differences. The iPhone 16 is your featherweight champ. It's the lightest of the bunch. But what's really wild is that the 17 Pro is the heaviest because Apple actually ditched the titanium and went back to an aluminum unibody. Screen sizes are kind of similar now, which is nice. And hey, good news, they all have that top-tier IP68 water and dust resistance, so no worries there.
Okay, and this right here? This is probably the biggest deal breaker for the standard iPhone 16. It's still stuck with a 60 Hz refresh rate, and in today's world, that just feels kind of choppy. The other three, the 16 Pro, 17, and 17 Pro, all get that buttery smooth 120 Hz ProMotion display. Seriously, once you see it, you can't go back. The difference is just night and day.
Now, when it comes to brightness, you might be surprised. For just normal everyday use, they all hit about 1100 nits, so they're all pretty much on par. But the new 17 series does pull ahead with a higher peak brightness, which you'll notice in HDR videos. And they have this fantastic new anti-reflective coating that makes a huge difference when you're trying to use your phone out in the bright sun. It's a small thing that feels like a big upgrade.
All right, let's get to the main event for a lot of people, the cameras. This is often the biggest reason to upgrade, and this year, we've got some pretty big changes, including the iPhone 17 Pro's unique camera bump, which people are already calling the camera Pop-Tart. Yeah.
So here's something that might actually blow your mind. Even with all the different sensors and lenses, if you're just taking photos in good, bright daylight with the main and ultra-wide cameras, you basically can't tell the difference between these 4 phones. The white balance, the details in the shadows, the highlights, they're all practically identical. It's kind of crazy.
So if they're all the same in daylight, where's the real difference? Well, it all comes down to one word: zoom. And to get why, we need to talk about the magic behind it, the periscope telephoto lens. This is the secret sauce that lets the Pro models reach out and capture stuff that's super far away.
And boom, here it is. This is where the Pro models just leave the others in the dust. The standard iPhone 16 and 17, they have 0 optical zoom. None. The 16 Pro gets you a really nice 5x optical zoom. But then look at the 17 Pro. It has a 4x optical zoom, but it can push the digital zoom all the way to a frankly ridiculous 40x.
But wait, here's the crazy part. You're probably looking at that and thinking, wait, 5x optical is better than 4x optical, right? And normally you'd be correct, but here's the twist. The 17 Pro has a brand new, much higher resolution 48 megapixel sensor on its telephoto lens. So even though its optical zoom is a little shorter, it has so much more data to work with that its 10x digital zoom shots actually look way cleaner and sharper than the 16 Pros.
It's not just about the rear cameras, though. The new iPhone 17 and 17 Pro both get a totally new 18-megapixel front-facing camera. And get this, it uses a square sensor. What that means for you is a much wider view, and you can take a horizontal or vertical selfie without ever turning your phone. It's a super clever and genuinely useful little trick.
Okay, so we've covered how they look and how they shoot. But how do they run? Let's pop the hood and see how these phones actually handle tough stuff, like gaming, and more importantly, how they deal with heat.
No real surprises here. The chips just get better as you go up the ladder, with the A19 Pro and the 17 Pro being the absolute king. But what's also really important is that the 17 Pro gets a bump up to 12 gigs of RAM. That extra memory makes a huge difference when you're multitasking, letting you jump between a ton of apps without any of them slowing down.
So when you really push these phones, like in a half-hour gaming marathon, the top-of-the-line iPhone 17 Pro does a pretty good job managing its temperature. It topped out at a respectable 46 degrees Celsius.
But the base iPhone 16, wow, that's a whole other story. Under that exact same pressure, it really struggled, climbing all the way up to 49 degrees. The source actually described it as getting Chipotle hot, and I think that tells you everything you need to know. It just can't handle the heat as well.
And this right here, this is a quality of life upgrade you will feel every single day. Just look at that
difference. The new iPhone 17 gets a full charge in just over an hour. Meanwhile, the iPhone 16 is still lagging behind at almost 2 hours. That's a massive, massive improvement.
All right, we've gone through the looks, the screen, the cameras, the guts. Now for the big one. Let's put it all together and figure out which of these 4 phones is actually worth your money.
Before I give you the final verdict, just keep this one number in your head. $400. That's how much more you'll pay to go from the cheapest option, the iPhone 16, to the most expensive one, the 17 Pro. That's a pretty hefty chunk of change.
So after all is said and done, after all the tests and all the comparisons, the verdict is actually surprisingly clear. The best phone for most people, the absolute sweet spot in this entire lineup, is the standard iPhone 17.
Here's the bottom line. For the exact same $799 launch price as last year's base model, the iPhone 17 gives you pretty much all the upgrades that really matter. You get that gorgeous 120Hz Pro-level display, you get the super fast charging, you get an upgraded ultra-wide camera, you're basically getting an iPhone 16 Pro, you just lose the telephoto lens. For most people, that's an incredible deal.
So what about the rest? Well, the iPhone 16 just doesn't make any sense to buy new anymore. The 17 is just too much better. The 16 Pro, that's actually a fantastic deal if you can still find one before they disappear. And the 17 Pro? It's the king, no doubt. But it's really for the hardcore users, the creators and the power users who truly need that insane zoom and all the pro features.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. In a world where there's a new best thing every single year, it's so easy to get caught up in just wanting the newest device. But what this showdown really proves is that sometimes the smartest choice isn't the most expensive one. So before you click that buy button, just ask yourself, what do I really need my phone to do? Thanks for watching.